7 verses. Thera. Sundara-Samudda. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Sundara-Samudda. Reborn in this Buddha age at Rajagaha, as the son of a very wealthy councillor, he was named Samudda. And because of his beauty he became known as Sundara-Samudda. In the prime of his youth, he saw the majesty of the Buddha at the festival of his coming to Rajagaha, and through faith and his native inclination he left the world for the order. Entrusted with a message, he went from Rajagaha to Savathi and there stayed with a virtuous friend, learning how to practice himself in insight. Now his mother at Rajagaha, seeing other councillors' sons and their wives dressed in their best enjoying themselves at a festival, thought of her son and wept. And a certain prostitute to comfort her offered to go and entice him back. The mother promised, if she would do so, and he were to marry her, to make her mistress of the family, and gave her many gifts. Well attended, she went to Savathi, and stopping at a house where the Thera came day after day on his alms round, she caused him to be carefully attended to, showing herself decked and decorated and wearing golden slippers. And one day, slipping these off at the house door, she saluted him with clasped hands as he passed and invited him in with seductive air. Then the Thera, a worldly thought fluttering, resolved then and there to make a supreme effort, and so standing, conjured up meditation and acquired sixfold abhina. Concerning this it is said, decorated and clad to make a gallant show, crowned with a wreath and decked with many gems, her feet made red with lac, with slippers wearing, a woman of the town approached me, wearing her slippers, greeting hands to head, with soft, sweet tones and opening compliment. So young, so fair, and have you left the world? Stay here within my rule and ordinance. Take you your fill of human pleasures. See, it is I will give you all the means to that. No, it is the truth that I am telling you. Or if you doubt, I'll bring you fire and swear. When you and I are old, we both of us will take our staff to lean upon, and so we both will leave the world and win both ways. Single quote. Seeing that public woman making plea, and offering obeisance dressed in bright colors, in boldly dressed like trap of Mara laid. Because of that arose in me the deeper view. Attention to the fact and to the cause. The misery of it all was manifest. Distaste, indifference the mind possessed. And so my heart was set at liberty. Oh, see the seemly monk's order of the path. The threefold wisdom have I made my own. And all the Buddha remains us do is done. Thera. Lakuntaka-Bhaddiya. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Lakuntaka-Bhaddiya. Reborn in the time of our Lord at Savathi in a wealthy family, he was named Bhaddiya, but from his extreme shortness, he was known as Lakuntaka-Bhaddiya. Hearing the Lord preach, he entered the monk's order, and becoming learned and eloquent, he taught others their work with a sweet voice. Now on a festival day, a certain woman of the town, driving with a Brahmin in a chariot, saw the Thera and laughed, showing her teeth. The Thera, taking that row of teeth as an object sign, evoked jhana, and on that basis established insight and became a non-returner. And after practicing mindfulness regarding the body, administered by the captain of the path, he was established in arahantship. Later he thus declared Anna. Beyond the gardens of Ambatika, in woodland wild, craving and craving's root. Withdrawn, and wrapped in deepest reverie. There happy sits fortunate Bhaddiya. And some are charmed by cymbals, lutes and drums. And I in leafy shadow of my trees. alive entranced by the Buddha's rule. Let but the Buddha grant one boon to me. And if that boon were mine, I'd choose for all perpetual study in control of self. They who decry me for my shape, and they who listen spellbound to my voice, such folk in toils of lust and impulse know me not. The fool hemmed in on every side knows not the inner life, nor sees the things without, and by a voice indeed is led away. And if the inner life he knows not, yet can discern the things that are without, watching alone the outer fruits that come, he also by a voice is led away. He who both understands the inner life, and did discern the things that are without, clear-visioned, by no voice is led away. Thera: Bhadda. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Bhadda. He was reborn in this Buddha age at Savatthi in a counselor's family, as the child of until now childless parents, to whom, after prayers to gods and the like, none had been born. They had gone to the Lord saying, "If, your reverence, we shall get a child we will offer him to you as your servant." They named him Bhadda, and when he was 7 years old, they dressed him in his best, and led him to the Lord, saying, "This, your reverence, is the child we got after asking you. We deliver him to you." The Lord asked Ananda to initiate him into monkhood, and withdrew to the fragrant chamber. And Ananda instructed him, and so ripe was in him the efficient cause that, while studying, even as the sun rose, he conjured up meditation, and acquired sixfold abhina. Now the Exalted One knew what had happened, and called, "Come, Bhadda." So he went, saluting the Lord with clasped hands. This was his initiation into monkhood. And this Buddha ordination, the Thera, beginning with his birth, magnified when thus confessing Anna. An only child was I, to mother dear, and to my father dear. By many a rite, and much observance was I gotten, yes, and many prayers. To do me kindness they, my good desiring, and my happiness, conducted me, father and mother too, into the presence of the Buddha blessed. Hardly has he been gotten, this our child, and he is delicate and softly reared. Him do we give, O Lord, to you, that he may wait as servant on the conqueror. The Lord took me unto him and thus to Ananda did say, "Quickly admit this child, for he a thoroughbred shall be." And then, thus sanctioning my coming forth, the conqueror withdrew to spend the night. And as the sun rose up out of the dawn, lo, then my heart was set at liberty. Then to complete his work the Lord, aroused from quietude, "Come, Bhadda," called to me. By that to me was initiation into monkhood given. 7 were my years when I was thus initiated into monkhood. The threefold wisdom have I made my own. Hail to the seemly Sangha of the Dharma. Thera: Sopaka. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Sopaka. Reborn in this Buddha age to a pariah's wife, he was called, according to his birth, Sopaka. Some say he was born in a trader's family. This is contradicted by the Apadana text. When to my last birth I had one, into Sopaka womb I came. 4 months after birth he lost his father, and was maintained by his uncle. The latter, when Sopaka was 7 years old, was reminded by his own ill-tempered son to kill the child. So he took him to the charnel field, bound his hands, and tied him by the neck to a corpse, thinking, "Let the jackals and others devour him," for he was not able himself to kill the child, who had come to his last rebirth. The jackals and other creatures came, and the child at midnight cried, "Oh, what the fate in store for me! Or who to the orphan lone is kin? In midst of dreadful Deathfield bound, whom shall I find to be my friend?" The Lord, at that hour surveying what fellow men were redeemable, saw the conditions of arahantship shining within the child's heart, and drew his attention by emitting a glorious divine image, saying, "Come then, Sopaka, fear you not. See the Tathagatha. I, even I, will bear you over, as moon comes safe from Rahu's jaws." The boy by the Buddha's power broke his bonds, and at the end of the verse stood, a stream winner, before the fragrant chamber. Now his mother sought him, and the uncle telling her nothing, she went to the Exalted One, thinking, the Buddhas know all, past, future, and present. The Lord, as she came, hid the boy by Idi, and to her saying, "Lord, I cannot find my son, nevertheless the Exalted One knows what he is doing." He replied, "Sons are no shelter nor father, nor any family relatives. For one overtaken by death, bloodbond is no refuge." So teaching her the path, she, hearing, became a stream winner, but the boy an arahant. Then the Exalted One withdrew Idi, and she, overjoyed, saw her son. Hearing he was arahant, she made him to leave the world, and went her way. Now he came and saluted the Lord, as he was walking in the shade of the fragrant chamber, and followed him. And the Exalted One, desiring to grant him initiation into monkhood, asked him the 10 questions beginning, "What is the One?" He, grasping the Lord's intention, supplied the answers, "All beings are sustained by food, etc. By his omniscience," from where the name of the boy questions arose. And the Lord, satisfied in mind by his replies, initiated him into monkhood. All this the Thera set forth in confessing Anna thus. In the shade upon the terrace walking, lo! The chief of men. There went I, in his presence worshipping the man of men. Draped my robe was on one shoulder, forth my clasped hands were stretched. In the footsteps of the highest of all beings sir I walked. Then he asked me questions, he so skilled in questions and so wise. And unwavering, unafraid answered there the Lord I. Tathagatha then commended how the questions answered were. And the monks host surveying, to them made this matter known. Fortunate are they of Anga, and of Magadha, from whom such as he procures dress, food and lodging, medicine, and the reverence that is seemly, yes, they are happy. So he said, "From today from now on, Sopaka, come to see me when you will. Our discourse alone, Sopaka, shall your initiation into monkhood be." Single quote. 7 were my years when to me initiation thus was given. Now I bear the final body. Hail! Fair monks order of the path. Thera. Sarabhunga. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Sarabhunga. Reborn in this Buddha age at Rajagaha. As the son of a certain Brahmin, he was given a name according to or independent of family traditions, he having no distinctive marks, and that name is forgotten. But he became, when of age, an ascetic, making a hut for himself out of reed stalks, which he had broken off, and from that time he was known as Sarabhanga, reed plucker. Now the Exalted One, looking over the world with the awakened eye, discerned in him the conditions of arahantship, and going to him taught him the path. And he, convicted and becoming a member, in due course won arahantship, continuing to live in his hut. This became decayed and crumbling, and people noticing it, said, "Why, your reverence, do you not repair it?" The Thera, saying, "The hut was made when I was doing ascetic practices. Now I cannot do the like," set forth the whole matter thus. "Yes, reeds in handfuls once I plucked, and built a hut in which I stayed. Hence the name, Reedpicker, given me by the common voice. But not to me did it belong today, to pluck the reeds in handfuls as of yore, because of what the training did prescribe, revealed to us by glorious Gotama. How holy and entirely he did ail. That had Reedpicker never seen before. This much ailing state he came to see, through word of him who is beyond the gods. The self-same path by which Vipassi went. The path of Sikhi and of Vessabhu, of Kakusandha, Konagamana, and Kassapa Buddhas, even by that very road lo. Now to us there comes Gotama. And all these 7 Buddhas, they for whom craving was dead, and nothing was grasped, and who stood planted on abolishing of sorrow. They taught this path, yes, even such as they, who were themselves the body of the path. In great compassion for us all, even these 4 Aryan truths. The truth of sorrow, the cause, the path, the end, the abolishing of sorrow, by which the endless tale of grief and pain in life's great cycle cannot take its course. For when this body dies and life is spent, no other rebirth comes more. Yes, free am I from birth, from evil utterly.